Sean Montgomery via Opus Business Coaching and Consulting. How are you doing today?
Good. Hey, thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming on here. FounderGPS. Want to learn a little bit more about you and your business and who you serve. So Sean, tell me a little about yourself today.
Yeah. So like I said, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. What we do at Via Opus Business Coaching and Consulting is we help business owners write themselves bigger checks and take more vacations. And we do that by helping them increasing their profits and by streamlining their operations. And we do that by helping them implement just 12 simple business strategies into their business.
So how long have you been business coaching?
So I've started this business in December 2024.
Okay.
But I've been consulting for about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What led you to starting the company?
Oh, it's a really loaded question, man. I worked in corporate America for about 10 years, and I just got sick of corporate bureaucracy. So I left there and I said, hey, let me try a small business. Maybe that's different. And that ended up being the worst time of my life. It was just an absolute mess. I mean, they had nothing written down. They had no organization. It was like the Wild Wild West. There was just nothing there. And on top of that, the owner was just one of the cruelest, meanest guys I've ever met. I mean, he's throwing stuff. He's slamming doors. He's yelling at people. And I was just hired as like an entry-level employee. And I'm like, what do I...
This was after you left the corporate world?
Yeah. This
Okay.
was like my first attempt at working at a small business.
Okay. In what capacity were you working there?
I was brought in the billing department for a dental corporation.
Okay.
And so I just started working. I just rolled up my sleeves. I'm like, all right, we got to fix this. Like, this is a mess. Yeah. So in 2 months, I got promoted twice and ended up being third in command of this 50-employee company. Nice. And I wrote the SOPs, the KPIs, the employee manual, the training, redid everything. And do you think that grumpy old guy thanked me? No, he didn't. So it was a really tough time, man. I was working 60 plus hours a week. I wasn't sleeping well. I lost 23 pounds. And I just knew that life wasn't sustainable.
Was that during the pandemic too?
It was during the pandemic as well. And it was also a weird time because my wife gave birth to our first son. And one of my life goals was to be a husband and a father. And I was completely failing at both of them because I was never home. And when I was home, I was thinking about work. And I was letting her down. And some days I wouldn't even see my son because he would go to bed after I got home and he'd wake up after I left. So I felt like I was really letting them down. That's why I knew I had to make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sparked, the consulting business? I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously you have some skills in operations and billing and business processes.
From working at that company, even when it's a horrible experience, you always learn something. So I learned the wrong way to run a company. I learned the wrong way to treat your employees. And within 6 months of implementing all the things that I did, the company saw its first profit in 3 years. So I knew that I could do this stuff. I knew I could build a business. But I knew I had to get out of there. It just wasn't healthy. I didn't like getting yelled at all the time. No matter what I did, it was never enough. So I tried to quit 3 times. I put in my resignation 3 times, and he didn't accept it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there additional money that they offered?
They would offer stuff, but the big thing was he's like, I would change. Because the guy could have paid me all the money in the world. I didn't want to work there. It was just such a stressful environment. But he'd be like, I'll change. I'll stop yelling. I swear I'll stop swearing. And I'm like, okay, we'll stick around. And then it never happened. So finally on the 4th time, I said, I can't take it anymore. I need to leave. And he said, I'll accept your resignation on one condition. You stay on as a consultant. And at that point, I had no idea what a consultant was. But I'm like, whatever gets me out of here. Yeah. So I accepted it. And then I found out that, a couple times a week, they just call me and ask me stupid questions. I literally wrote the book, the employee handbook, on how to run the company. So I knew what they were going to ask. So for the most part, I could just help them out with any questions I had. And then I met someone on LinkedIn who became my mentor and then got me in a program to become a certified business coach.
Amazing. So that your former employer became your first client.
They did. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That's the ideal situation. I think, when you leave your...
Ideal.
Yeah, almost ideal. Are they still a client today?
Right.
Are they still a client?
Yeah,
Or-
no, they're
they
still
are.
a client
Oh, that's
today.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is nice to start a business with a client. That helps. But yeah, obviously you want better clients.
Yeah, yeah. But that gives you some confidence that like what you're offering is valuable, right? And yeah, that's amazing. So what was the next step then? So you got a mentor, you got into what is the certification process?
So yeah, I entered a program to become a certified business coach. So that's when I learned about these 12 strategies for growing businesses. And that was a really fun process to learn that. I was kind of like going back to school. So then I was able to really take some of the things that I already knew, but have them more in a system. Yeah. And then I apply that to businesses now.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. What are the types of clients that you serve?
So ideally, I work with companies that have been around for more than 5 years. Okay. They're more established. Most startups don't usually have money to invest in business coaching. Yeah. They're still growing. They need something different than profit acceleration. And it's usually helpful if they have more than one employee, because we are implementing some tasks that could take some time. So it's good to have some help with that. Yeah. I do have expertise and experience with dentistry. I worked there for 3 years, but these business strategies work on any business. Yeah.
Is there an industry that you enjoy particularly, or find that there's more, challenges that you see pretty frequently, or?
Well, yeah, like I said, I have that experience with dentistry. I have 3 years with that, so I can run a dentist office. So those are the clients I run into the most, but like I said, this applies to anything. My favorite clients to work with are really ambitious business owners who are just like hungry to grow. Yeah. That's really fun, because this whole collaboration is a fun process. It's a creative process. And when they show up in the morning and they're texting me like, hey, I want to do this, like that's really exciting.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, I would say that I like working with founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, especially people that want to get on camera. They usually have a vision. They have, some level of charisma or, camera presence, or they don't, but they want to get there. Right. So, I would say that that's probably a similar, client profile that I like to talk to as well. But,
they're fun.
Yeah. So, when you start working with a client, like what does that process look like?
Yeah, so we offer 2 different services, but the big one is business coaching. Okay. So we're going to meet once a week for 1 hour. Okay. And this is personalized coaching, so there's no cookie cutter stuff. This is like designed for your business and where you're at right now. Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the strategy we're working on right now. We're going to talk about last week, what tasks did you complete? How did it go? How did it feel? We're going to analyze what you did, and then we're going to adjust, because we're always trying to improve. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about what we're working on now, and then what your tasks are for next week. So it's very tactical. Like some people kind of get scared. Oh, I don't know business stuff. I don't want to be overwhelmed by a consultant and some business jargon. Right. But it's really simple. It's really tactical strategies that you can implement almost immediately. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And what's a typical engagement, like length of time?
Yeah, all my clients stay with me for 50 to 60 years. Typically it's between 1.5 years and 3 years. Just because they reached a point where they feel comfortable enough that they can do it on their own. Yeah. 'Cause that's the difference between coaching and consulting. Coaching is showing them how to do it on their own. Consulting is doing it for them.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so we're kind of like teaching them how to fish, and then they can get their own clients and run their own business.
Yeah.
So they either reach a point where they know they can do it by themselves, or sometimes we're just coaching them to sell or retire. Mm-hmm. Like that's another thing too. If they're looking for an exit strategy, we tighten up their company before they get rid of it. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any maybe like recent case studies or anything like you might want to share?
Sure.
Some recent wins?
Yeah. So I started working with a client a couple months ago, and within the first 2 weeks, which is just 2 meetings, we were able to cut over $5,000 in expenses.
Wow.
These were subscriptions they didn't need, things that
like a month, $5,000 per month or
per year.
Just per year.
The whole year.
Yeah.
And these were subscriptions they didn't need. These were things they weren't even using. And that was just in the first 2 weeks. Yeah. We were able to find more over time. And that's the thing with these strategies. They're not just like a one and done thing. We don't just work on the cutting cost strategy for a couple weeks and then we're done. You have to continually monitor your cutting costs. It's like going to the gym, right? You don't go to the gym for a couple weeks and say, well, I'm good for the year. Yeah. you have to maintain that.
That's pretty cool. I think you can you tell me about some of the tools that you use? Like you showed me the calculator that you have. Is that something that is kind of proprietary?
Yeah, on our website, we do have our own software, but on our website, we do have a profit acceleration simulator. So anyone can just plug in their own numbers. All you need is your revenue, your gross profit margin, and your net profit margin. And you can see how these 12 strategies can be applied to your business. So just by small increases in any of those areas can have big impacts on your company. Yeah. We do have a proprietary software that we use, but the main part is finding out what you need, right? It's not a cookie cutter thing. So we need to find out what your struggles are, because every business has a constraint. They just have those at different times. So we have to find out what's holding you back, and then we open that up so you can get more business.
Yeah. So finding some of those cost cutting measures, but also like ways to increase the top line as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some common things that obviously subscriptions, there's costs that kind of get out of control. Like, do you see some common challenges amongst clients?
For cutting costs or just in general?
Just in general. Could be cutting costs, could be, there's so many different issues.
Oh, there's so many different issues.
Running a business is basically just one daily headache after another. It's just what I'm finding.
Right. No. It's so true. You're just putting fires out.
Yeah, and especially as you grow too, it's like there's new devils with each level. So
I love that, new devils. With
I did
each
not
level.
coin that. I heard that from actually one of my clients. But
okay, nice.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
But it's so true. Like
that is true.
Yeah.
We find that, like I said, every business has the same problems. They just have them at different times.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they have to realize is that there is a constraint in the business. And a lot of times the constraint is the business owner themselves. Right. Sorry for saying that. And it's not their fault. They're working really hard. A lot of times they're working 70 hours a week. They're answering emails at night. They're answering phone calls at 6 a.m. And their business can't grow if it's relying on one human. So what we try to teach them is to put systems and processes in place so you don't rely as much on humans and your company can work without you. Yeah. So that's honestly one of the biggest challenges that people have, is that time management and just getting everything done in the day, because they can rarely get all their operational tasks done. So how can they ever grow? How can they ever work on business growth tasks if they're still doing their day-to-day tasks? Right. Yeah.
That's been one of the big unlocks for me. Not that I've figured it out yet, but certainly you're right. Like the business owner is the biggest bottleneck in the business. Right. And it's really hard it's like a psychological, or like an emotional thing. This is your baby, right? This is the business that you're building, and trying to delegate. There's certain things that I've been able to delegate and offload, but there's some things that just are really, really hard. Yeah. Especially in like a creative business where a lot of things are subjective, and that's really hard to kind of offload.
That's a good point. Like what we talk about control, like a lot of people do want to continue the control of their business, but then there's individual tasks they could delegate. But I mean, you work in like you said, a very creative world. So like, do you struggle with delegating some work or editing because you could do it better, what the vision is? Yeah,
100%. I mean, the reality is that when I bring on a client, we're doing all the upfront kind of strategy and, kind of building out, hey, what is this campaign going to look like? What are the videos going to what's the look and feel of that? What's the message, all that stuff. We get to the production side of things and we have a team show up and shoot everything. And then we get to editing, and then client approves the edits. And then we move on to the next, like half our business, we do projects, and the other half is kind of retainer, social media management and stuff like that. Okay. But a lot of the projects are, one-off creative campaigns, maybe a brand story, like kind of like the who, what, why of a business that lives on a website, kind of a video like that. Mm-hmm. And there's different pieces of that I can sometimes delegate, but it's really hard, especially when, I was in the front end, kind of coming up with the ideas or working with the client on the ideas, and then trying to relay that to someone else who doesn't have that vision, or maybe has their own interpretation of that, is really hard. So that's one of the challenges that I have.
I'm sure, and your product is very visual. People can see and hear it. So you want that to represent not only your client, but yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that's a common thing with probably a lot of business owners, right? There's just, it's just, this is their baby, right? So
for sure. And then that's what kind of things that we focus on is we try to help business owners take back control of their time and reach that, work-life balance that we're all dreaming of.
Yeah, I feel like, so a lot of the businesses have been clients that you work with have been in business for 5 years.
At least usually.
So do they have a number of employees or a certain revenue level too, or?
Yeah, we usually look at those things. That's one of the first things we do with any client is we do a full business assessment. And that's what makes us different than any other business coaching or consulting is we do a full business assessment, not just, hey, this is one problem I have, let's try to fix that. Yeah. That's what some consultants do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we kind of figure out where you are, where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So we do that full assessment, and sometimes the business owners don't even know their revenue or their gross profit margin or the net profit margin. And those are things that they should know. So just by looking at that, all of a sudden they're like, okay, I should be paying more attention. Like I said, 1 to 5 employees at a minimum would be great just because we're trying to grow the business. Yeah. And it's hard for the business owner already to do things. So to add more things, it's going to take time. Yeah. But we want at least a decently healthy business at the time. We can help struggling businesses get out of that hole, but they have to, like I said, be ambitious and hungry to go. If they just kind of want to keep things the same, it's going to be hard to make changes. Anything
like really super tactical that you would want to share with maybe a potential client or somebody who's struggling, but maybe not ready to invest? Maybe they don't even know that they need to.
Sure.
Look into business coaching, right?
Yeah, let's go over cutting costs because that's usually the first place we start anyway. Okay. So right now, what you should do is you should analyze your bank statements and your credit card statements. Just take a look at them. And you're going to find at least one thing you can cut. I guarantee it. Like I said, 2 weeks with the one guy, I found $5,000. So that's half it. The other half of it is you want to obtain new quotes for all of your bills. So your rent, your car insurance, your cell phone, your internet, your vendors and suppliers. You always want to renegotiate those things. When business owners forget that they're also customers, and those businesses want your business. Now, you don't want to ruin any relationships you have with your vendors. Some of your vendors and suppliers have been around for a long time. But if you never ask, the answer is always no. So that's one of the things that we focus on is like just obtain new quotes. If you own a car for your business and you go to Geico and they say, this is the best we can do, check out State Farm or somebody else. They might be able to do it better. They want your business. And that's how you lower your costs. And the thing is, when you cut your costs, your profit automatically goes up. Because that's just money that you have and that's now staying in your bank account. So that's one of the tactics. The other very simple one is increasing prices.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to do that because they think all their customers are going to run away. But if you test it and you do a small increment, and a lot of times if you can articulate to your customers why you're doing it, hey, eggs have been increasing in price, as you know, so we had to increase our prices to accommodate for the increase in eggs. A lot of customers will get on board. So, and again, you don't double your prices, maybe just 5%. But like the example I use is if you own a sandwich shop and you sell sandwiches for $5, you increase your prices by 5%. Suddenly, your sandwich is now $5.25. Is everybody going to be running out of your restaurant when they see that? Probably not. And the truth is, McDonald's raises their prices every year.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I would say, especially in services, I think people tend to undervalue what they do.
Right.
I know that I have struggled with that. Not like when especially creative freelancers and things like that, they're always starting off real cheap and then all of a sudden figure out, hey, I can actually 10x what I'm charging right now because, it depends on the clients, but, sure. Do you really want to be dealing with clients who will spend $500 or $5,000? Like, right. It's perceived value, right?
For sure.
A lot of things. So
exactly. And that's a big thing I did want to stress today is that, there's a lot of business coaches out there. You're aware of it. There's a lot of consultants. Yeah. One of the big things that we do is we are upfront with our ROI. your return of investment, right? So if you're looking to work with a business coach or consultant and they don't tell you what their ROI is, demand that. Like, make sure that you have that right in front of you, because you're investing in your company and you should see exactly, or an estimated of what you're going to get out of it, right? So that's one of the things we do. We're very transparent with our ROI. Working with us, you'll know how much money you're going to make.
That's actually unheard of, like I would say, like, especially in a lot of businesses, right? Like, so, I mean, you can expect to invest this amount and actually see an ROI in working with your business. I mean, that's impressive.
Well, like I said, we try to be transparent. I got in this business because I like helping people. If I don't help people, I don't have a business.
Yeah.
So that's why we're in this thing. But I mean, we always under promise and overproduce. So the numbers we put in there, you'll do better than that. And again, they're simple strategies that we can implement in just a couple months of your company.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I see a lot of, like, I feel like online coaching, like, is really big right now, like business coaches, and, you know, so it kind of comes off as a little scammy, right? Sometimes.
It seems that way, yeah.
Like, how do you address that?
It's tough. I didn't want to talk about this today, but over the last few years, I feel like coaches and consultants have kind of gotten a bad rap because they don't care if their clients succeed. They just care if they get paid, right? And I'm not talking about everyone. Obviously, there's great coaches out there. There's great consultants out there. Yeah. But they just want to get paid a large amount, and then they're not holding their clients accountable to make any success. That's one of the big things. Like with us, you get an accountability partner. I'm not just going to tell you this is a strategy, good luck. Yeah. I'm going to help you implement it, and then each week we're going to make sure you're still doing it. But yeah, it is a tough industry because, you know, we're kind of coming in with this shadow over of us of being like, oh, are you real? Are you going to actually help us out? Yeah.
In some ways, though, I think that could help you a little bit too, because, like, you know, because I feel like someone who's skeptical. I was listening to a podcast or reading something the other day where, like, it's actually in some ways someone who's, like, interested but highly skeptical is almost easier to convert into a client versus someone who doesn't even know who you are or doesn't even know that they need your services. Yeah. So maybe that's just me being optimistic. I don't know, but I think, like, you know, if there's even some level of interest in, hey, I have challenges in my business, maybe Sean can help me or his company can help me, but they're skeptical. So, but if you can figure out how to address those and actually show that, hey, there's real ROI from this. Yeah.
How do you address it? I mean, you're in this world now where people can just make feature-length films on their iPhones. Yeah. And anyone could make it. So how do you address this cloud over your industry of what a good film is?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, and actually, I mean, it's moving away from, you know, these aren't even like some of the cameras that I have some, you know, $8,000 cinema cameras and stuff like that.
Okay.
All right. So when you show up to a client site, they're like, oh, okay, you know, I'm getting my money's worth here. But, like, reality is that, like, people are paying for results, you know, business results. So if we're doing social media content or if we're producing ads, it's really about the message and the content within the video. So you can get something that goes viral that's shot on an iPhone, right? You don't need, like, expensive video cameras, right? But most of the time what people are paying for is, well, they expect quality, but also just, like, the strategy, which I think is what we do really well, is, like, helping, kind of like, in a way we act as consultants, like, kind of understand, hey, what's your, you know, where are you at with your business today? What's your messaging? What's your website look like? What are you trying to promote? What's your offer look like? And we kind of help clients package that up and put it and build a strategy that involves video. But also sometimes we do a lot of copywriting. So we help people with email. We do, you know, social graphics and things like that as well. So it's kind of a multi-pronged approach, kind of overall content strategy. So
you're like their visual and their audio consultant. Yeah. Or really their brand consultant.
Brand, I would say. And a lot of times we're also, like, we're not even showing up to film. We're actually just providing scripts and ideas and saying, hey, here are the ideas for the next couple of weeks. Like, can you film some of this on your iPhone, send it to us, and then we'll edit them and post it and, you know, analyze that for you.
Gotcha. I mean, like we said, anyone can film anything now and it look decent. But, like, let's talk about sound for a second. Okay. Because I feel like just recording it on your phone doesn't create the good sound. So, like, how do you guys focus on making sound professional?
Okay, and I have a hot take on this as well.
Okay, great.
Somewhat hot take. I would say audio is more important than video.
Wow, that is a hot take.
Yeah. So, the way, so just visually, hey, we identify things, familiar faces. I'm looking at your eyes right now. You can see, but like really, like if we were to close our eyes, your voice is actually a lot more powerful. And just think about like, growing up, you hear stories, right, from your parents, your mother, singing to you to put you to bed, right? Some of those like kind of auditory things have a lot more impact. You hear a song on the radio that you haven't heard since high school. It brings you back to like these like really good times in the summer when you were 16, so audio really is more powerful. Also, like if you have a podcast, like what we're doing right now, we could kill these cameras and you still have a product. You have an audio podcast. But if we got rid of the microphones, it would just be us. You wouldn't be able to. There's nothing you could do with that. Yeah. Like if I forgot to hit record on here, we wouldn't have anything to do with it, right?
Right.
The other thing too is just like, we always start with like when we're producing a video, you start with the sound bed. So you start with the music first, or at least this is how we do it. You start with the music. So if it's a 30-second ad, you need to have a song that's cut down to 30 seconds. Otherwise, it's going to be all screwed up. Or if it's a voiceover, it needs to be a 30-second script. Then you can add the visuals. You can add the video. That's easy after that, right? You can add whatever visuals you want or text on screen or whatever. But if there's no audio layer, that's kind of the foundation. So audio is the most important thing.
Well, there you go. Hot take. No, and then lastly, sorry, we're getting technical here, but I'm very interested in this stuff, like editing, like post-production. That's the last part after we've filmed and recorded everything.
Right.
Like, I think that's something that just your average person's going to really struggle with, right?
Yeah. And there's apps and there's AI tools where you can drop, a video and it'll add, captions and cut out the pauses and stuff like that. But editing is really an art. It's taking kind of this raw, footage and just kind of turning it into something that's, packaged and ready to go for something. So, there's a lot that goes into it. You're making decisions about what sentences to cut out, especially if it's like, let's just say it's like a talking head. That's a lot of what we do is, business owners talking about things in their industry, or they're talking about their products or services. You're cutting that down. A lot of times we're taking a 20-minute interview and we have to cut that down to 60 seconds, right? And so that's really hard, right? I think, it's easy to make something long. It's hard to make something short. And so, and then there's all other decisions. There's music, there's sound design, like sound effects and stuff like that. Text, things like that. But, the tools are getting better and better, right? There's, AI tools now that you can animate things, and those are integrated into some of the like Adobe Premiere and DaVinci, like all the traditional editing tools. But, technology is making it easier and easier. And, there's some great apps, CapCut, and Instagram has their own competitor that it's called Edits now. And it's kind of like part of Instagram, but not really. And so, there's some great tools out there that people can use. So
we're getting way off topic here, but we got to a place now. I feel like we have to discuss it now, and we should discuss it with each other's industries. So you go first here. Artificial intelligence. AI has become a big thing, and it always ends up with my clients and my prospects. They're always like, "Well, what's AI, and what do I do with it?" So like, there's like amazing videos being made with all AI now, and audio as well. Because I heard some songs that were made with AI. So like, how can you convince someone to choose you over them just using AI to make it? Like, what do you offer that's better than AI?
I mean, again, it goes back to kind of the strategy and the kind of the branding component of video, right? So, anyone can go to VO or Sora.
Don't mention their names.
Yeah, whatever. So you can go to these AI platforms and you can prompt. I mean, prompting is an art in itself, right? But it's very difficult right now. I mean, and you'll be able to do this eventually, right? Where I can take some photos of you, like a 360. We'll get some audio samples, and then we write a script and plug it in, and then there's an AI avatar of Sean Montgomery.
Right.
You know, we'll get there eventually, and those tools are around now. But like honestly, it's easier just to show up with a camera right now and do that. But I think like B-roll, stock footage, you know, creating these like, you know, immersive sci-fi worlds are easier to do with AI.
Yeah.
But like something practical for like a business owner, it's not really there yet. I mean, definitely B-roll. Like if you were doing a video for a dentist office, you could very easily go to one of these AI tools. Hey, can you give me, you know, here's a photo of the dentist. Can you show some B-roll of this dentist working in an office so I can some B-roll to lay over the interview. Like that's stuff that's real today that you can do. But you know, it kind of sucks in a way too. It's like takes away from the creativity of it and like the art of it.
Right.
But really, in reality, it's like all of these tools and technology just make things easier and faster, right? So you go 50 years ago, you know, a camera. Hey, if you wanted to do some headshots, you'd have to go to a photographer who shot on film, and there was a whole studio. You know, and that's very similar today, but you can get great results on an iPhone going out to your backyard, having some do portrait mode and get a really good quality thing, right?
Right.
Or with video as well, you can get great results on an iPhone, even just digital cameras.
Right.
You know, 30 years ago it was all on film. It was, you know, whatever, 18 millimeter or whatever it was. So the tools just allow you to produce things faster and at a similar level of quality. And that just means more volume. Like what it comes down to is it means that like I'll be able to work with more clients faster, which, you know, in a way is tough too, because now, you know, you have to adjust your, you know, personnel, your pricing and all that stuff. But, you know, I would love today if I could just dump all this footage and have AI edit it all up and produce something that I need. Like that would be great actually. So, you know, that component of it is, but I also use for scripts and interview questions. Like we do a lot of content with, you know, business owners and people like social media content. So we'll show up with like 50 questions. Like I'll go into ChatGPT. I'll have maybe 10 to 15 ideas that I came up with. Maybe we'll get some other, you know, resources, their website, do all this analysis and say, hey, like, can you come up with like 30 more interview questions or, you know, content ideas that we can kind of workshop with the client. And so for like ideation, scripting, some of that stuff we use a lot of. Obviously we're putting our own, you know, our own touch on it. The client but it's kind of like a starting point, if you will.
Gotcha. Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, when it comes to strategy, like anyone can just point a camera at someone, but if your messaging isn't right, then it's not going to go anywhere anyway. Yeah. So you help them with that, and just to tag along with this AI discussion, because people ask me all the time.
Yeah. How are you guys using AI?
It's crazy, and you know, I think that a lot of people are afraid of it. They think it's going to take over all the jobs, but I think you said it perfectly. It's just a tool. It's no different than Microsoft Word. We're just using that to help us make things easier. One of the things that I tell all my clients and any business owner is you got to do 3 things. You need to eliminate, automate, and delegate. So before you just plug into AI and say, hey, how do I do this stuff? You need to see, should I even be doing it? Like, what are the steps it takes to do this task? Can 2 of them be cut out? Like, we don't even need to do that. Or do we even need this task anymore? So when people rush to AI and be like, let's automate this thing, they need to make sure the process makes sense first. Because just rushing to AI could make it worse. You could make things more convoluted or could make more mistakes. So first you want to analyze, you know, the operations of the company. Then you want to automate and delegate. And there's way more AI stuff out there besides ChatGPT and Gemini or whatever. So you can just have it write your LinkedIn post. But what we help with AI with our customers is we help them automate things using those larger AIs, where we can take 2 different softwares and have them communicate with each other. So we can have them do your drip campaign, or we can have it, you know, do a task that a human's doing right now in your office, and that could make you more efficient, and then they could focus on something more important. So like you said, I don't think AI is something to be afraid about. It's something we're all going to end up using. Our kids are going to be experts in it. But I do think that it is a tool that eventually we all need to get on board for.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest advantages that humans have is just like obviously our brain, right? Our intelligence, but really like a sign of someone who is very intelligent in my mind is someone who asks good questions, right? There's people that talk a lot. You meet some of these like sales people. I worked in sales for a long time, so I ran into a lot of that. And there's a lot of people that are like just talk and talk and talk. But like the best salespeople, I think, are people who ask good questions and get to the root of it. I mean, it's probably what a lot of what you do is you're asking questions, understanding people's businesses and things like that. And so like that goes along with using the AI tools. It's like, what questions can I ask? Like, it's not about what the answer is, because we have more information than we've ever had in the human history, right? But what questions are you asking? Like, what is the information that you need in this moment, and how do you ask it, and what are the prompts that you're using and things like that? And like, that's something that I think we'll have to be using. That's where humans will continue to dominate. Hopefully, until there's AI talking to AI and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, again, these are all just tools meant to serve humans. So, at least hopefully.
No, you're 100% right. We still have to use our brains and be creative. AI isn't going to answer all the questions for us or get us to where we need to be. Yeah. We know our businesses better than anyone else, better than AI. Yeah. So like you said, asking the right questions and getting to the source of the problem, that can help you streamline things out. And the other thing I want to say about AI is it's not always accurate. So always make sure you verify that. I've had it spew out some incorrect information. So you always want to take it with a grain of salt before you just publish stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Any other, what else, like technology trends that you're seeing, or what are clients asking you about right now?
Yeah, clients, they always ask like the two big questions, which are how do I get more clients and how do I get more revenue, which they're important questions. That's what everybody wants. I always try to focus on profits, because profits is what pays the small business owner. That's what puts food on your family's table. That's how you can take more vacations or invest in growing the business. Revenue is like a nice number that you can tell the government, but at the end of the year, you've spent a lot of that on all your expenses. So I try to retrain their brain to think, how can I increase my profits? And the two simple ways to do that is cutting costs and increasing prices. Those are two really quick ways to increase your profits right there. But the big question I get all the time now is employee retention, right? How do I get good employees and how do I keep good employees? And that's really hard right now. I think the pandemic had something to play with that. And then I also think that it's really hard to find people, especially younger people. No offense, I am a millennial, so I'm part of the problem. But it's hard to find people that want to show up every day and then they want to work while they're there.
That's so true. I feel like I was just going through this. I mean, I'm still going through this. Like as a younger business owner, I'm not young. I'm just saying as a immature, whatever you want to call it, right? But a newer business owner. A lot of my labor is contract or freelance, and a lot of we have a lot of editors and things like that overseas in the Philippines, as well as a girl down in Colombia that we used to have as well. But now I'm kind of at the point where revenue's growing, clients are demanding more, right? So like I have more. We just hired a W-2 employee. So Maddie, she's part-time, probably soon to be full-time in the next couple of months, but there's a demand. Like as you grow, like I can't rely on someone who's 12 hours on the other side of the ocean, who's, I shouldn't say that, they're great. They still work with them today. They're incredible, but it's like they're not an employee of the business, and I need them to show up every day serving Shoemaker Films. Right. They have other clients that they serve, and there's just an element of like that growth that I'm going through right now, where it's like I need to find good people locally to help, and that's been challenging. I would say like graphic designers, video editors, production team, producers, like someone to actually start taking off the workload that I'm doing, like coming up with strategy and the kind of packaging the campaign and stuff like that. So it's hard to do. So
it's hard to do. And what we find is that a lot of small business owners struggle with releasing that control. So that's good. You're already taking over that delegation, which is good. But the other side of that is like a lot of small businesses don't have the money to afford a good employee.
Yeah.
So they're stuck with these employees that aren't as good. And then those are the people that don't show up every day and they don't work hard when they're there. Yeah. And obviously we're distracted. I mean, we have our phones, we have the internet, so everyone's always distracted. But it is really hard to find those people that want to work. So that's why it's really helpful to work with a business coach or consultant, because we can get you more money so now you can afford better employees.
Yeah. And I feel like we just could keep going on all these different tangents, but like I was reading, do you know the book E-Myth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know that book?
Yeah, it's a great book. I've been reading that. I'm like almost done with it. I feel like anymore trying to read is really hard, just between the business, the young kids, right. And yeah. But there's an area in it where it's like, obviously the whole premise of the book is basically how do you remove yourself from the business and right. treat your business like McDonald's or whatever, right? And so, but part of it is like, hey, you might find that star employee, but oftentimes people kind of rely on that employee too much, and there's no systems. Like in the event that they do leave, right. your business is like wrecked, basically. So I don't know. Do you ever run into that where there's more mature businesses that are just kind of reliant on a couple of key employees? And
100%. Yeah, most of the time it's the business owner or the general manager. But that's called key person risk.
That's it, yeah.
When you're relying on one human or several humans to do everything. So if they got hit by a bus tomorrow, your company would go out of business, because not only wouldn't you be able to hold the capacity of what they did, you don't even know what they did. Yeah. So that's why like a really simple thing is just write it down. That's what I did at my previous job. Like just write down all the tasks and how to do them, and then you have a manual, and now you have a system and processes instead of just relying on that human. And what I find is that most small businesses have nothing written down, not one thing. So then, like if someone gets hit by a bus, unfortunately, they're in a big problem.
How do you address when a business owner says, "I don't have time to sit down and document all my processes"?
Right. I mean, that's what we get as our answer a lot of times in general. I don't have time for a business coach. And my answer to that is, if you don't have time for a business coach, that means you absolutely need one, because you're focusing on the wrong things. But it does take time to get these things in place. But what I'll say is, once they're in place, then they're in place. Right? And that's with any of your systems, processing, marketing, sales, whatever it is. It's going to take some time to create that system, but then it's made. And you have to adjust it, improve it as things go along. But you got to take the time to make that. Otherwise, you're not even really a business. You're just a couple of people hanging out. Yeah.
Right. Just trading money,
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember one of my prospects I'm talking to right now wants to sell his business, but he has nothing written down. So I'm like, if you sold your business today, you're literally just selling your assets and your customers.
Yeah.
You're not selling a business. There is no business. It's just two people working here. And you can't sell yourselves. You're not part of the deal. So that's why it's so important. And I help them. I have expertise. That's the other side. The coaching side is one, and then the consulting side is the other. Mm-hmm. I have expertise in SOPs, KPIs, employee onboarding, employee manuals, employee training. So I can help you write those things, and then they're in place, and then you have them for your business.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think probably just right about a time. Any parting words or anything else you want to share?
Oh, there's so many things. But yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is time management, and then just focusing on the issues that need to move your company forward, right? People get lost in that day to day. So to grow your business, you have to make some changes, even if they're small tweaks. So find out who your ideal client is, and then get your messaging right, and then get the messaging in front of your ideal clients. Right now, people are just posting on Facebook or LinkedIn, hoping anyone will see it, hoping anyone can be my client. But maybe their clients don't hang out on the internet. So once you know who your ideal client is, you need to get your right messaging in front of them. And that's how you get more clients.
Awesome.
Yeah. And remember, it's Shoemaker Films. They don't make shoes. They make films.
Glad you clarified that.
In case anyone was wondering.
Yeah. There's like an old saying, too, that's... the shoemaker's children go barefoot or whatever. You ever heard that?
I know that one.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it just means like, you don't drink your own Kool-Aid, like kind of
okay.
like, so.
Oh, I see.
If you're a business owner, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example or something like that. But like, like you're putting the people put so much into their business that they often forget to like feed themselves or like feed their family and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's that's a whole other topic right there. Profit first, paying yourself, taking a paycheck, but like,
most small business owners don't pay themselves. They take whatever's left over, and if there's nothing there, that's why they go bankrupt.
Yeah. Cool. Well, how can people find you?
Yeah, so it's via opusbcc.com. Via Opus means the way of working in Latin, in case you were wondering. My name's Sean Montgomery, SEAN, and I'm on LinkedIn if you want to look me up.
Sounds great. Well, Sean, I really enjoyed the conversation today.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening today. This was an original production by Shoemaker Films, LLC. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your content. Follow us on Instagram at Shoemaker Films. If you're a business either interested in our services or you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please get in touch by using the contact form on our website, shoemakerfilms.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.